This is a warning. The Grim Reaper of radio, Bob Romanik, with his off-the-record show is about to air. He's probably the nastiest and craziest son of a bitch that you've ever had the misfortune to encounter. The Grim Reaper show will be very controversial and probably quite tasteless. If you are even slightly offended by controversial matter concerning religion, racial matters, politics, or life's problems, you are hereby warned to turn this program off immediately. The Grim Reaper show will be, like his face, very scary and very ugly. At this time, not proudly, but shamefully presents to you Bob Romanik, the craziest son of a bitch on the radio today.
This is Bob Romanik, the Grim Reaper of radio, and you're listening to the all-new KQQZ 1190 AM, America's bi-state voice of freedom, your guardian of the First Amendment, Radical Radio. And we are, as always, proud, very proud to be the Patriot. Good Wednesday morning to everyone. Again, friends and foes alike. I talked to some people yesterday, and as you know, I am a candidate for state representative. Bob, you're going to have to slow it down a little bit. And I'm not going to slow it down, but what I am going to do, I've had a few friends, and you hear me, I use the word bitch as an adjective. Guys bitchy, ladies bitchy, yeah, you bitch, quit bitching. But, and I don't mind calling my enemies names, lampooning them, because they deserve it. They're in the political arena. But I don't want to offend the people that aren't in the political arena. So the word bitch I may just throw by the wayside, because I don't care about making someone mad. I don't want to disrespect someone that doesn't need to be disrespected. Now, the people that need to be disrespected, I'm going to continue because they're up in the political arena. But the good people that listen, it's, again, I'm half nuts. I'm not going to change what I do and how I do it. I may change a little verbiage because I don't want to offend the decent people. I want to offend the bastards, the no-count, low-life, good-for-nothing, son of a bitch, and political, parasitical, perverted punks, thank you very much, that we call politicians. So let's don't ever confuse one with the other. There's a zillion great people out there. You never hear me get on anybody's ass that's just a citizen. It's these politicians, and if they don't want to be exposed, get out of the political arena. But people in East St. Louis, talked to a lot of them last night, yesterday afternoon, and they're tired. They listen to the show. They listen to me. They listen to Carl Officer, co-chair of the St. Clair County Freedom Coalition. They listen to Roger Cook, the other co-chair of the Freedom Coalition. And what we say is true, and people are finally understanding this. They know they've been screwed by the political arm, the Democratic political arm, and I say this. If the Republicans had been in office for the last 30 years in St. Clair County, I'd be all over their ass if they did the same thing that this corrupt Democratic culture of corruption has done for the last 30, 35 years. Now they tell me God Sprague, he's running around half crazy. Mark Sweet Cakes Kern, they don't know what to do. They can't promise the good people below the hill anymore, and they can't give them anymore because they've taken everything that they can take out of this county. But they're going to try one more time. They're going to try one more time to say, elect us. We're going to do this for you. What they're going to do, and every prediction I put on the air has come about. I predict if they would get elected, and I don't believe the good people of St. Clair County, the good people below the hill, are going to put them in office one more time. But if that would happen, worst thing that could ever happen to St. Clair County, because they're a little bit older. I think Sprague's 72, 74. They're all getting older. And you saw what they did just recently. They didn't bring up a proud young black public servant. The boys in Belleville didn't go down below the hill to Curtis McCall, to Alonzo Greenwood, to Charlie Powell, to the leaders in the community below the hill. They didn't go say, who would you like to have for coroner? They were going to put a white candidate up, but there's rumblings, and Mayor Officer's supposed to come in today, and if he does, I'll ask him if he's still contemplating a run, because I know there's a big draft movement. People are circulating petitions all over. They can circulate petitions without anybody's approval, but they thought the Democratic culture of corruption that Carl Officer was going to run for coroner on the Republican ticket. I know for a fact, because we've got some inside sources, and I say that because I want Sprague to wonder. I want Mark Sweet Cakes Kern to wonder who the moles are in their organization. But I'll tell you, there's a lot more than one, because people in their organization hate them. And if your family, your political family hates you, what do you think about the outsiders? So anyway, they don't run a white candidate. They don't come down below the hill and say, hey, we've got a coroner's position open. Is there a qualified black candidate that we can run, that you people below the hill that get us elected every election? We want to respect you and give you the opportunity to make a choice. Hell no, they didn't do that. They threw Calvin Dye. That's the most racist thing God, Sprague, and Mark Sweet Cakes Kern could ever do, because they wanted to offset Carl Officer's vote below the hill. Think about it, people. They've trying to divide and conquer one more time. And for the leaders of East St. Louis, the leaders of Centerville Township, think about it. They've disrespected you one last time. The proud black community, they may, and hopefully Carl Officer will run. He's from East St. Louis, businessman, successful businessman. He was a mayor 4 terms. Guarantee you he couldn't quit his day job on that $30,000, $40,000 a year that he made. It wasn't about money for Carl Officer. It was about service to the community. But here's Calvin Dye. Calvin Dye, an ex-state trooper. Salute him for his service to our state. Nice guy. But I don't want a nice guy flying my plane if he's not qualified. Works a trooper for 30-some-odd years. Gets one hell of a pension. But then, you've heard me before, he goes out and gets a contract with the state to do the same thing he did as a trooper, the same investigative opportunities and the same responsibilities that he had as an Illinois state trooper. But now he's a contract laborer. So what does he do? He gets the $80,000, $90,000 pension that we give him. Then he goes back to work as a contract laborer and gets another $125,000, $130,000. So we're on the cuff for $200,000 for Calvin Dye. And then when that 5-year contract runs out, he works for the Sheriff's Department in St. Clair County. Then he goes to the state's attorney's office as an investigator. Now they're going to shove him down everybody's throat as their candidate for coroner. Of course, it makes him no difference, because if he loses, he's making $70,000, $80,000 more of our taxpayers' money, because he's still an investigator out of the state's attorney's office. And I will pay somebody $10,000, cash money. And you've heard me 1,000 times. If I say it on the air, I have to produce it. If somebody will show me an ad, show me a flyer where the St. Clair County Democratic culture of corruption was advertising for an investigator out of the state's attorney's office, especially down in East St. Louis, I get the Monitor paper, a great newspaper for the people below the hill and above the hill. Great people work there, great people own it. I promise you there wasn't an ad in any of the Monitor papers for an investigator position out of the St. Clair County State's Attorney's Office. No, Calvin Dye was their plantation Negro, and for the proud blacks. I say that to distinguish you, the proud black community that fights for their people, that fights for their family. I distinguish you from the plantation Negroes. Those are the ones, those are the Calvin Dyes. Those are the Curtis McCalls. Those are the ones that hope and pray that the white boys do something for them. They don't give a damn about the black community. They don't give a damn about fairness in the black community. All they care about are themselves. And you know, the white guys, they got to have a few. They got to have a few of those black guys around. Makes it look good for the photo op. And I'm not saying that as a racist term. I'm saying that as a realistic term. You all know what's going on. So you proud people below the hill, East St. Louis, Washington Park, Centerville, Allerton, Cahokia, Brooklyn, Caseyville, you know what's going on. And I think there's going to be a stop to it. We're going to go back to East St. Louis. I told you, once again, my prediction 2 weeks ago, that Kyle McCarter, the state senator out of the Lebanon area, predicted 2 weeks ago that he would be a candidate in the primary against U.S. Representative John Shimkus. And he said he's going to announce today. So once again, when you hear something from Bob Romanik, you don't have to like me, but hopefully you'll believe me. Research it, and you'll find out what I tell you is the truth. But Kyle McCarter will announce today that he will make a run in the primary, the Republican primary, against sitting U.S. Congressman John Shimkus. Ought to be a motivating primary. And Shimkus says he welcomes the opposition. And whether he does or not, I think the people, all of us, the people, not the politicians, we welcome opposition. And I think the Democratic Party in St. Clair County is going to have their hands full. And that will give all you people, Democrats, Republican, men, women, black, white, give all of you the opportunity to make a decision. You can't make a decision 2 years ago when Eddie Jackson ran unopposed. You couldn't make a decision. You couldn't let him know that you weren't happy with what he didn't do. But now you can. And not just in my race, the coroner's race, the county board chairman's race. I believe there'll be a whole ticket that's going to be fielded against the Democratic organization, the Democratic culture of corruption. And I think it's going to be very, very interesting. Freeburg Troop 30, Boy Scouts Barbecue. It's going to be held at the Rural Family Medicine parking lot from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. on October the 17th. If you have any questions or concerns, you can call our good friend Randy Casper. It's 618-779-6209. St. Stephen's Men's Club, all-you-can-eat breakfast. Sunday, October the 18th, from 8 a.m. to noon. It's going to be held at the Vote Hall, right there on Route 157 next to the Caseyville Village Hall. That's Sunday, October the 18th. Also, Trivia Night, October the 17th. By the St. Stephen's Catholic Church Men's Club. Doors open at 6:30. Trivia starts at 7. Also located at Vote Hall in Caseyville, Illinois. Ash Grove Back Roads to Main Street Heritage Festival, October the 17th. Any questions or concerns wherever Ash Grove is, you can contact Stuart at 417-751-2034. Benefit ride. The proceeds will go to the St. Labori Grade School. That'll be held Saturday, October the 10th. Sign-up starts at 11:30 a.m., and the ride starts at the Brick House Bar and Grill across from the big church in Lebanon. Don't forget our good buddies, the AmVets Post 51 out of Granite City. Turkey shoot every Sunday until November the 22nd. St. Mary's Church, Alton, Illinois, their Oktoberfest. Coming up this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, October the 9th, 10th, and the 11th. If you have any questions or concerns, you can call 618-465-4284. You can pick me up on iTunes. Type in Bob Romanik and or the Grim Reaper of Radio. You can go to our streaming site, insanebroadcasting.com. One word, common spelling. You can like us on Facebook at KQQZ 1190 AM or our sister station at KZQZ 1430 AM. You can hear my repeat performance every day at 4 o'clock p.m., Monday through Friday, and also now broadcasting from the graveyard to the graveyard shift every night at the stroke of midnight. Talk about Belleville. Belleville once was a great town. They had a fair. They had everything going on. And then Mayor Maximus Vaginus Eckert decided that if you weren't on his side, nothing was going to be done. But they're trying to bring the fairgrounds back. And October the 9th and 10th, the Belle Claire Fairgrounds, both nights, October the 9th and 10th, they're going to have a rodeo at the fairgrounds. Going to be a great time. 15 of the state of Illinois' top bull riders, junior bull riders, barrel racers. Admissions, $12. If you're over 100, it's free. So you can call 618-410-1294 for details. Going to be a great night. If you like rodeos, there's nothing like a live rodeo event going to be held at the Belle Claire Fairgrounds on October the 9th and 10th. On this date, October the 7th, 1806, Ralph Wedgwood secured a patent for carbon paper. I think it's out of existence at this point. On this date, October the 7th, 1849, Edgar Allan Poe died under mysterious circumstances in Baltimore, Maryland. On this date, October the 7th, 1913, Henry Ford established a moving assembly line. On this date, October the 7th, 1954, IBM displayed the first all-transistor calculator. On this date, October the 7th, 2001, the United States invasion of Afghanistan started with an air assault and covert operations on the ground. That's what happened on this date, October the 7th, throughout all these years in our world's history. Donna Andrusky-Lewis, thank you very much for the kind words. Well, I've got one last thing here. The great people in New Athens, the New Athens Lions Club, the Comedy Takeover. The Comedy Takeover to New Athens Lions Club presents the Comedy Takeover Friday, October the 9th from 8 to 10 p.m. It's going to be held at the Bullpen Bar and Grill in New Athens, Illinois. Tickets are $10. If you have any questions or concerns, you can call the Bullpen Bar and Grill. Wayne Schneider, thank you very much for the kind words. I see in the newspaper that they're all over Clay Barnes' lady friend again, Vanetta Harris. She was appointed to an $85,000 a year job. I broke the story on the Illinois Prison Review Board, despite filing bankruptcy, owing over $306,000 in student loans. How the hell do you get $306,000 in student loans? And where did she go to school at? The University of Mars? It must have been nobody. $306,000 in student loans and $11,000 in federal income tax. And she's on the Prison Review Board. One last thing, people. I'll bet you Claiborne didn't advertise that job in the Monitor or in the Belleville News-Democrat. Do you see the pattern? These politicians get elected. They don't give a damn. And it's time to make a total sweep. Not only the courthouse, but all these city halls. And there's some good public servants, but you have to research, you have to distinguish between the public servants and the politicians. But we broke that story, and Vanetta Harris, I know you accompanied the Senator Foghorn, I say Buckwheat Claiborne to the White House. Does that qualify you to be on the Prison Review Board at $85,000 a year when you owe us? Because if they're student loans, I'm sure they're federal student loans. And if they're federal student loans, there are tax money that's been thrown away for $306,000. But that's how egregious these son of a bitches are, people. And it never, ever gets any better. We're going to take a quick break. Carl Officer just walked in, and we're going to talk to Carl about the school district strike and about the crime, not just in East St. Louis, but Carl being the ex-mayor of East St. Louis. St. Louis is getting so bad. I'm actually afraid to drive over there. I don't want to take my family there, and I think it's going to cost the city of St. Louis a whole lot of tax revenue if they don't get that straightened up. And Francis Slay You sawed-off piece of crap. You're responsible. You're the mayor. You said how safe the city was when you got reelected. It was going to be safer. What the hell happened, Mayor Slay? What the hell happened? This is Bob Romanik. The Grim Reaper of radio, and you're listening to the all-new KQQZ 1190 AM, America's bi-state voice of freedom and proud to be your First Amendment and all-American station, Radical Radio, and we are, as always, proud to be the Patriot.
From KQQZ 1190 AM, St. Louis, Missouri, USA, you're listening to Bob Romanik, the Grim Reaper of radio.
This is Bob Romanik, the Grim Reaper of radio, and you're listening to the all-new KQQZ 1190 AM, America's bi-state voice of freedom, Radical Radio, and we are, as always, very proud to be the Patriot. Before we go any further here, I want to wish a very happy birthday to a friend of mine, a friend of everybody's, the owner and operator of Midwest Auto Pro in Belleville, Todd Favre. Todd Favre, he's 55 years old today, and also want to say hi to Dave Favre Sr. He's the ex-mayor of Freeburg. Did a great job. He was a true public servant in Freeburg, Illinois. So, Dave Favre, thank you for this information. And Todd Favre, you have a very, very happy 55th birthday. I got to say one last thing. I put it out on the air, and I've had so many people approach me with it. And I've got Mayor Carl Officer just sitting in with me, and I'll ask him. I don't know if he was the mayor at the time, but the Sauget, Rich Sauget, there was an Upper Cahokia road that ran close to his house. I think it was 22nd Street. The village of Sauget, and I believe it was Rich Sauget's, he was part of this situation. I believe he was on the board, and I think he spearheaded this. And Rich, if I'm wrong, give me a call at 394-1190. This is the same Rich Sauget who was Kern's appointment to the chairman of the Public Building Commission, the chairman that oversees the airport. So you know what that tells you about his business skills. But they blocked off Upper Cahokia Road in Cahokia, and it came through Sauget in the East St. Louis and vice versa. I believe it was 22nd Street. So they just put a bunch of rock. You know why they put the rock there. They didn't want the blacks driving past their property. Now, they can go on 20th Street, but that passes the Sauget Police Department. That passes the little commercial area, so to speak, the industrial area. But they didn't want the blacks coming through Sauget. Rich Sauget didn't. He's personal friends with God Sprague, personal friends with Mark Sweet Cakes Kern. And here's another thing. The Kerns will be at the NAACP dinner, Mr. and Mrs. Kern, and they're going to throw some money around. I don't care how much money you threw around to me. If you slap me in the face 364 days a year, you could take that money and shove it up your ass. Mark Sweet Cakes Kern and the Sasquatch, Aaron Kern. They give money, and now Aaron Kern's on the executive board. And Stanley Franklin, I'll call you out on that, the president of the NAACP. The proud black community needs proper leadership, not leadership that's going to be swayed by a few dollars from the white boys in Belleville. And I just wanted to throw that out, of course. But Upper Cahokia Road went into East St. Louis, but it passed the residential area of Rich Sauget. And now, guess what? The black community can't go down 22nd Street. What a racist activity that was. Nobody approaches that. Nobody addresses that but Bob Romanik. You go down 22nd Street and see what you find. Mayor Carl Officer, my good friend, the co-chairman of the St. Clair County Freedom Coalition. How the heck you doing, Mayor?
Well, good morning, Bob. I'm doing great. I want to wish a happy birthday, 55th birthday to Bob down there. I think it's a great idea. Whenever you can make it 55 years.
Hey, if
I'm speaking from experience. I'm happy to be 63.
Well, you know what? You look. If you tell everybody you were 73, they'd say, "Boy, Carl, you're looking good now." At 63, I can't really say that. Listen, Mayor, were you the mayor?
Yeah, I was.
When this now, can you? And I know you don't want to play personalities because you're a Christian man and you don't like to talk bad about people, and I understand that. But I don't give a damn. I'm going to expose these bastards. Mm-hmm. What was the situation where they just put rock and closed the street down?
Will McGoy was a precinct committeeman in that precinct that led out of East St. Louis into Sauget.
The residential part of Sauget.
The residential part. And Will McGoy was hopping mad. He also was on the county board, as you recall. And Will brought it to my attention, and as I told Will, I said, well, we can't do anything about what they do for a street down there, but they did not even notify East St. Louis they were going to be cutting off access and be like, going out of East St. Louis into St. Louis, so we just shut off one end of the bridge. You couldn't get on the other side. And they just shut it down. And I suspect that your analysis is accurate. They did not want any more traffic coming from East St. Louis.
No. Don't be political correct. They didn't want any more black traffic coming from East St. Louis, Mayor.
Well, if we ran the numbers, I don't think we had that many Chinese coming from East St. Louis going through East St. Louis.
Never mind.
I hadn't noticed that many Oriental traffic. But they didn't want any more traffic going in that route. And I hadn't thought about it until you mentioned it this morning. It was kind of coincidental. They were rerouting all the traffic to go directly in front of the police department.
Sure it was. And they were going to send a message. If the black community's coming through Sauget, they're going to see the police department, so you better be good. But, Mayor, what?
Well, they want them to be safe.
Yes, yeah. But you know why I brought that up, other than the very racist overtones, is Rich Sauget is the head of the Public Building Commission, which is the head of the airport, and he's just the shill for Kern and Sprague and those guys. But and you're a proud black man. I think if the proud black community really understood the activity of the guys in Belleville, the culture of corruption, do you think they would come out and maybe go to jail, maybe get in trouble to get these rotten bastards a vote so they could in turn just screw over them one more time?
I don't think a lot of people, regardless of their race, even understand what the Public Building Commission does. I don't really think that most listeners, if they hadn't heard it from you, they wouldn't have even heard about the Public Building Commission. I remember a number of years ago, you heard me talk about it over and over again. This airport, how much money do we continue to spend on this airport without a comprehensive plan for joint unification with the United States Air Force and with the Illinois Air National Guard? It seems to me, if you're just looking at it from a purely political situation, I would ask my counterparts, the other leaders in East St. Louis, Cahokia, Centerville, Allerton, Washington Park, Brooklyn, tell me how many political jobs have you gotten at the airport? Right now, we pay an airport director in excess of $130,000 a year.
Right.
What is he directing?
They're directing us into bankruptcy is where the son of a bitch Tim Catwell is directing us.
They've remodeled the airport at least 3 times on bond issues that I'm aware of. And I swear, I think I have more people come through my funeral home every week than go through the airport every 6 months.
I talked with the gentleman, not to cut you off, Mayor, 3 Thursdays ago, the people from NBC, the national news, NBC out of Washington came down. We met them at the Mid-America Airport. They went through 5 o'clock on a Thursday afternoon. They went through that airport, and I promise you, I was there. There wasn't one ticket agent. There wasn't one security guard. There wasn't one receptionist. There wasn't one anything. There wasn't one custodian. It was piped music coming through. Those guys
Was it good music?
No, it wasn't even good music. But it was piped through And they sit there about a half hour and took pictures, and these guys that flew in with all their camera equipment from Washington, D.C., and it's going to be on the fleecing of America once again. Yeah. They could not believe $500 million spent since the inception of that airport on the construction and the operation and maintenance. $500 million, and it's getting more and more every year to 10 or 12, 10 to 15 million dollars. They could not believe it.
I just got going to the courthouse this morning about 8:40 and paid my last installment of my property tax. And what's interesting, they're going to take some of my property tax money that I pay on my home in East St. Louis to pay for the airport. Okay. And if I answer your question on a purely political basis, I would simply say to all the voters, all the taxpayers in St. Clair County, what are we getting for our tax dollar at this airport? And if you ask about advertising for jobs, I guarantee you can't show where any of those jobs have been advertised where a citizen from Shiloh, from Freeburg, from Smithton, from New Athens, from any place in St. Clair County could have advertised to get one of those jobs, even a job as simple as a janitor, cleaning the bathrooms that nobody goes to, but they got people on the payroll. And the last thing I thought,
they got fire department guys. They've got so much dead weight out there. But you know what? These are committeemen. These are guys who can get the Democrats' votes. It's got to be put a stop to, Mayor.
Well, I would hope that my co-chairman, Roger Cook, and those responsible members of the St. Clair County Board will take an opportunity to do a hard look at the numbers. We cannot afford to see St. Clair County go any deeper into debt. I don't want to see St. Clair County wind up like the state of Illinois. I'm looking at what's going on with the state of Illinois right now. I live in a city where kids need to go to school, want to go to school, parents want them to go. I don't understand how we're continually looking at these problems and not understanding that some of them are simple to solve, but it takes courage, it takes honesty, it takes fairness. It doesn't take some political backroom maneuvering.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, I've said it before that I am a candidate for state representative in the 114th district. I'll be opposing Eddie the Gerbil Jackson, but I will promise the people of the 114th, and the airport, Mid-America Airport, is in the 114th. That is my number one priority. We've spent over $500 million. $500 million. It's going to be $12 to $15 million a year. We could take that money. If we're going to waste it, let's take it and put it in public service. Let's waste it and put it in the schools. I don't give a damn what we do with that money, but I'm tired of paying all the political people out there on Sprague and Kern, Barra Civic, everybody's payroll. There's 1% benefiting from this airport, and there's 99% that are suffering.
Well, it's probably less than 1% people benefiting.
That's true, yeah.
And this is the tragedy in any level of government, but Roger and I are mostly concerned and focused in on St. Clair County because we live here. We've both been mayors of two of the major cities in the county, and we understand what the situation is. We understand who the players are because they haven't changed in the last 30 years. And the hard reality is that they're not getting any logical answers for the taxpayers and the voters whom they should be responsive to, not to each other in the buddy system. This is about people's monies and people's lives. And when you look at $500 million, that money can be spent in a much better way to help in so many varieties of areas. And I got to believe there are people that are listening to you right now. Wouldn't it be refreshing to see if you had several organizations like the Lions Club, the veterans, VFW, the people next door at the Department of Disabled American Veterans? I guarantee you they could find some options, some opportunities to help people in need. other than spending $500 million at an airport, and nobody in the taxpayers' realm get to make any input. They don't get to ask any questions. They don't get any answers. I think that's that's a personal affront to every taxpayer. That's an insult.
Well, what they do and what they've done in the past, here's Rich Soje. He's not an elected official. He's appointed by the St. Clair County Board Chairman, Mark Sweet Cakes Kern, and the county board. So he takes the heat. The county board chairman doesn't take the heat. But at the end of the day, Mayor, I say this to everybody in not only St. Clair County, throughout this state, throughout this great country. We all have to get off our asses. I'm tired of hearing people say, and if it pisses them off, it pisses them off. I can't do anything. If everybody gets out, I think there were 24% of the people voted last election. And the core of that 23%, the vast majority, is that culture of corruption. So if everybody, Democrat, Republicans, independents, men, women, black, white, if they'll get out and vote, we can, no matter how many votes they try to steal down in East St. Louis this next election, which will be, and let me remind you, a federal election, which means federal authorities will be around. No matter how many votes they steal, they can't overcome the good people of St. Clair County if they'll get off their asses, become less apathetic, and get out there and cast a vote.
Well, I think that you're 1,000% right, but at the hardcore, that voting is a whole different subject that you and I probably need to take a couple hours and talk about the stealing of votes. But, this situation with the airport, it makes no sense. I'm looking forward to the NBC expose.
Fleecing of America.
Fleecing of America. But here in St. Clair County, we got some serious... Can you imagine how much further ahead the county would be right now if we took $500 million and put it into programs and policies? How many streets, how many sewers, how many water lines, how many other public works projects which benefit everyone? The airport is not benefiting everyone.
I don't know, other than the jobs given out by the politicians, the democratic culture of corruption, nobody is benefiting. They can't tell me, they can't tell you that somebody's benefiting because they're not. It's time, and they'll say, Mayor, well, we can't do it. We'll get fined by the federal government. I guarantee you, I will fight in Springfield. I will fight in Washington. There is a way that we can get this back to the federal government. The airport, the Scott Air Base, they use that runway. We could take it, give it to them, try to get some money back. We could lease back on an agreement if we need something for St. Clair County. It would be a win-win for everybody, and the local residents wouldn't be paying $12 to $15 million because the federal government would take it over. And I think even the federal government could run that better than St. Clair County.
As the state representative for this district, I think you would be one of the champion voices that could speak for the Illinois Air National Guard, for the United States Air Force in the coordinated negotiations, and for the residents in your district to make sure we got a fair shake. I just think that you'd be a great voice to make a difference there.
Well, I'll be a voice because Eddie Jackson, Clay Barn, everybody that sits up there at the courthouse, they're bobbleheads for God Sprague, Mark Sweetcakes Kern. We all know it, and we got to put a stop to it. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back, and Mayor, we're going to talk about School District 189. You were not only the mayor, you were a member of the School District 189 board. So let's talk about the teacher strike right after this break. This is Bob Romanik. The Grim Reaper of radio, and you're listening to the all-new KQQZ 1190 AM, America's bi-state voice of freedom, radical radio at its finest. And we are, as always, proud, very proud to be the Patriot.
From KQQZ 1190 AM, St. Louis, Missouri, USA, you're listening to Bob Romanik, the Grim Reaper of radio.
This is Bob Romanik, the Grim Reaper of radio, and you're listening to the all-new KQQZ 1190 AM, America's bi-state voice of freedom, radical radio. And we are, as always, proud, very proud to be the Patriot. With me, our good friend, the co-chairman of the St. Clair County Freedom Coalition, Mayor Carl Officer, ex-mayor of East St. Louis, four-time mayor. And I got to say, this man didn't play politics when it came to the betterment of his community. He ran primarily as a Democrat, but when he saw that the Democrats wouldn't produce, not for him personally, but for his people, the people that he represented, he crossed over and went Republican. It sure to hell didn't hurt. He sure to hell around. The Democratic gods didn't come down and strike him dead. So if he can do it, Greenwood's done it. Greenwood was the ex-chairman of the Republican Party. So you good people in East St. Louis and below the hill, when they say you can't vote Republican, tell them they're full of crap. Mayor Carl Officer, I want to salute the teachers of School District 189. I don't know all the particulars, but I know they teach our most precious commodity, our children. So if I had to take a stand, I'm taking a stand with the hardworking teachers of School District 189. You were on the board in 189, and I know you helped bring Culver in, but only because he was shoved down your guy's throat. Is that correct?
Oh, no, he wasn't shoved down their throat. They put a gun to our head.
Okay, never mind.
No, I'll be the first one to admit I sponsored Mr. Culver after having a conversation with the state superintendent of schools and with those persons who handle our purse strings. And I have been personally disappointed in what reaction we got from the Illinois State Board of Education and what we got from our representative leaders out of Springfield through education for School District 189. I just can't speak enough about, I'm sick and tired of hearing people, whether it's my school district or other school districts, when they always dangle, we're for the kids. I hear that over and over, we're for the kids. Well, if you're so much for the kids, then it would seem to me that you would make that the priority. These kids need to be educated. They need to be given an opportunity so that they can continue to grow and show and showcase their talents. I think the teachers, and I had dinner with several of them Monday night, as you well know, and I've talked to some this morning. I think they've got a legitimate concern. When I look at the amount of persons that have been brought into our school district that did not live not only in Illinois, but who did not know anything about our community, that has been brought in by this superintendent, and the amount of monies that are being spent for programs and projects and policies, it sometimes makes me wonder, perhaps maybe we just should have let the same old characters run the place before. I mean, if I'm going to get fleeced, I'd like to get fleeced by maybe a local fleecer.
Yeah, keep the money in the area.
Somebody come from out of town and fleecing me. But at the end of the day, I do think that it's a situation. I'm comfortable with allowing the federal mediators to come in and at least address this situation, because they know much more than I. I've not paid attention to anything but what I've heard in the newspapers, what I've read in the newspapers, what I've heard on the radio and the TV. But I do think, like many, many parents, they need to have these children back in school. And the kids themselves, they want to go back to school. All my neighbors, I see a lot of these kids every morning, every day. They want to go back to school.
Yeah. Well, hopefully they'll get this strike worked out. And I would say, and I said it yesterday, Mayor, if the school teachers aren't getting paid because of this negotiations, I'll say negotiations instead of strike, then why does Culver, what is he administering when there's nothing to administer? I would hope that all the administrators would drop their salary in fair play and for the betterment of School District 189 until they all produce. The school superintendent is not producing at this time. Why the hell should he be making $135,000 a year sitting on his stupid old, wrinkly ass.
I think you're a little short on the dollars. The superintendent's is well over $300,000 when you get through with everything. But
wait a minute. Wait. $300,000? Is that what the benefit?
We're paying in excess of $300,000 with everything considered
for his package.
And for his package. Now, I'm sure we're not paying any teachers nowhere near that, okay? But it would seem to me that's a novel concern. If you're not paying the teachers and you're not paying the support staff,
and you're not doing a job, then
why not withhold the pay on the superintendent and all the administrators till you get this thing worked out? I guarantee you, if we weren't paying the lawyers, we weren't paying the superintendent, we weren't paying all these other support
staff, the strike would be over.
They would sit down and come to an agreement because they were simply saying, we're not getting paid.
Yeah, they're not getting
This strike would be over in 48 hours.
Hey, I challenge you, Culver, in the sign of fairness, why don't you not take a salary until this is over? Why don't the administrators not take a salary? Don't just hold the teachers at bay. They've got bills to pay. You've got bills to pay. If they can't pay theirs, I don't think you rotten bastards up there should pay yours. One last thing, Mayor, we got to go. There's people all over the county, and I'm all over the county doing a little preliminary politics. It's a little bit early yet, but there still is a major draft movement on for Carl Officer for coroner.
Yeah.
Are you still considering it? I know you haven't made a definite decision.
No, I've not made a definite decision. I am very honored and very flattered by people who come up to me. Several ladies yesterday at a funeral I was going to came to me and said, we're going to be for you for coroner. I said, well, I haven't made up my mind yet. Let me tell you, I'm honored that people think that I could be of service to the citizens of St. Clair County as their coroner. I've been praying over it and I've been thinking about it, and I will make a decision very soon.
Mayor Carl Officer, co-chair of the St. Clair County Freedom Coalition. People, remember, this St. Clair County Freedom Coalition, once again, uniting Democrats, Republicans, independents, men, women, black and white, for a more effective, more efficient, but most of all, a more honest form of government in St. Clair County. We have to stop these criminals, these political criminals. It's been 30, 40 years. Don't let them okey-fadoke you. Don't let them tell you it's going to be better in 2016, because after 40 years, if they don't have it right by then, they sure to hell ain't going to get it right now. This is Bob Romanik. The Grim Reaper of radio, and you've been listening to the all-new KQQZ 1190 AM, America's bi-state voice of freedom, radical radio, and we are, as always, very proud to be the Patriot. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place. We're going to head out to St. Louis. Elections are coming up, people. We're going to have a lot of political people on. And if you don't like politics, maybe you better not listen to my show, because we're going to expose the culture of corruption in this political organization that's called the St. Clair County Democratic Central Committee. We're going to expose these son of a bitches once and for all for what they are. And together, as you know, and we have to work together, Democrats, Republican, black and white, men and women, we have to work together, because they are a powerful force. But together, we can take them down. We can continue to expose them, to drag them wherever we have to make them know that we're not happy for the last 40 years. Drag them over the political coals of hell. And at the end of the day, you know what we got to do. We can rejoice when we destroy these no-count, rotten, political, parasitical, perverted punks we call politicians. Destroy them, because if not, they'll destroy us. It is a political war in 2016. There's going to be casualties, political casualties, of course, but together we can destroy the culture of corruption in St. Clair County once and for all. Destroy them politically, of course. Don't want to go to jail today for threats. Right here on the dark side.
The
They're coming to take me away, ha-ha. They're coming to take me away, ho-ho, hee-hee, ha-ha. To the funny farm where life is beautiful all the time. And I'll be happy to see those nice young men in their clean white coats. And they're coming to take me away, ha-ha.
The Patriot.
Your First Amendment and All-American Station. A division of Insane Broadcasting. Renegade Radio.
KQQZ, St. Louis.